Some things are never easy. So your scenario, a woman and a man are married for like 50 years. He's falling apart slowly because of bad COPD. Some new dementia that's developing over the last year. Depressed, not wanting to leave the house. Some depression is because his wife of a long time is sick, dying of cancer, and she's already depressed. There's family that love both, but he's built an attachment to her, and she's a built attachment to him. She's already depressed, but trying to be strong enough to survive the complications of the cancer and to get strong enough to survive chemotherapy, to continue the fight, to stay alive for those that love her, for the family that chooses her, and the family she chooses, aka friends, those that matter. He's getting a cough. He's getting more shorter breath. You could use a Curb 65. You could use your port score / pneumonia severity index and MD-Cal. This guy's a pneumonia. Not much bronchi, but he sounds lung congested, and he's been coughing for 2 weeks. And he has maybe a parapneumatic pleural effusion, confirmed by POCUS, bedside ultrasound, regardless if it's image recorded or not, because I'm using it to guide my care. No frank pulmonary edema, no pneumothorax, slightly hyperinflated lungs from continued smoking. Supposed to be on home oxygen, but doesn't use it. And he was hypoxic the night before, gasping for air. And that morning was able to be convinced to come to the emergency room after he's been fighting to see a doctor, refusing to see the doctor in the office, only using getting telephone conversations because he refuses to come in. He has like bad juju, I guess, because his wife is already in the hospital, and he almost blames the hospital for her being ill, but she's already ill and needs the hospital to get better. So he shows up, he's short of breath, without his oxygen. The crazy part is he's supposed to carry the oxygen whatever he does. He uses oxygen when he's resting and sitting down. But when he walks around, he doesn't want to use it. Walks around the house, walks into the bathroom, walks to the kitchen. He was standing in the 70s the night before, and when he arrived, he had just been walked out, not carrying his oxygen, walked from the car he didn't drive. Someone drove him to the ER. He walked in and decided to 77%. Shorter breath, gasping for air, and we put him on oxygen, and it went up. Not an arm breather, nasal cannula went up. At rest, he's okay, but moving around, he gets really short of breath. There's a delay. Just know that a pulse ox doesn't drop. Theoretically, if you take it off the oxygen, the supplemental oxygen, the sats will drop. If we wait 5 minutes, there's usually a lag. If he's really, really short of breath, it's going to drop faster. You understand? So, treat him like COPD exacerbation because his ABG shows some hypocarbia without complete compensation. pH was 7.2. PaC2 in the 78. He does have a junky cough, so I was considering high flow versus BiPAP. But he's maintaining well. He's not tripoding. He's using minimal accessory muscle use. So we treat him like COPD exacerbation. Steroids. I didn't hear any wheezing. So I'm a little offish with MAG with these patients. Because I think most of it's dead lung, not bronchospasm lung. And they gave him Duonebs, and he got better. I should have repeated his gas. During this time, family was already discussing DNR, DNI status. That if he were to go to sleep, that's how I say it, and never wake up, would you want me to wake him up from that type of sleep? And I said, sleep is like the cousin of death, but not the one you want to know and see that night. He's an ill man. He doesn't even want to be in the hospital. I had to convince him to stay in the hospital. And it wasn't too hard to sell the hospitalist that despite the no white count and no fever and no elevated lactate, this guy has chronic lung disease. I don't know if it's end stage. I'm not sure. I didn't think it was. But he was bad lungs, no heart failure, despite the pro-BNP of like 28,000. I think he had pedal edema bilateral because of right-sided failure because his bedside echo showed RV enlargement just as big as the other ventricle, large as or larger than the left ventricle, the right. I should have measured the thickness of the wall and froze it on the subxiphoid view, because if it was thickened, most likely it's a chronic thing, and most likely it was. I didn't think he had a PE. Maybe I should have worried about that. But he was being short of breath, progressive over months to weeks, and only cancer was prostate cancer. Right? Most people don't get PEs from prostate cancer. So I had to convince the family to admit him. I had to convince him to admit. I think the family's all good with admission. I had to convince. Bad juju, bad luck. He gets admitted. I see him start to get a little restless, a little nauseous. I see him. I ask him, how are you doing? He felt some right side discomfort. This was after eating, maybe some indigestion. But it resolved. I don't have any belly pain. So I could have done an EKG, but if I had needed to do, I would have probably missed the moment when, if he had an arrhythmia, heart went too slow or too fast. But I knew he had a pacemaker, so he already had the ultimate backup. Not cutaneous pacemaker. He had a pacemaker already. And left anterior chest, and looked intact. It looked intact, the leads on the x-ray. And I was like, he got the antibiotics. And then he felt fine. And he was standing around, joking around with the family, just before he could be transferred to the inpatient unit on the same floor of my hospital. In less than 20, 30 minutes, I get told he's short of breath. And I told the nurses, doesn't he have standing orders by the admitting hospitalist for doing nabs? And they're just staring at me. And then he looks very restless. Luckily, one of the family members is an EMT. And they said he's been restless, trying to get up, sit up, lie down, turning restlessly in bed, and gasping for air. And when I see him, his eyes are closed. That is bad juju. Especially when they're lethargic. That means he's about to get intubated. I yell for a bag with a BVM and start bagging him up. One-handed jaw thrust. I didn't trust the people around. I should have just done the double thumbs up. But everyone's freaking out. The family's like, what's going on? And I think, remember how we discussed his DNR, DNI status? And he was already drooling and lethargic and almost comatose, gasping for air. My impression was right when I bagged him, and he wasn't hard to bag, so he didn't pop a lung. Breath sounds were still present bilaterally. In less than a minute of me bagging him, his eyes opened up. So he was already getting respiratory failure from hypocarbia. He'd already had the oxygen on. And I had to clarify for the family, what do you want me to do? And luckily the wife was admitted to the same floor. We were able to bring her over. She's so weak she can't even sit up. But we wheeled her stretcher in, set her up. She's able to hold his arm, hold his hand. And he pushes away. He's scared. He doesn't know what's going on or confused. We reassure him again, rub his hand, and they hold their hands. And they say, if you wish to make him more at peace, and if you think he has too much air hunger, I can give him morphine, fentanyl. I don't give ketamine yet. I'm not sure if I want a crazy vivid dream at the end. But I would do a mix of morphine, narcotics with the ketamine. I didn't want to stop his breathing. I just wanted him to be in peace. But he was already sleepy. The family said, I told him BiPAP would not work on him. He just ate less than an hour before he would vomit. We could gamble with the BiPAP and wake him up, but he was already towards the end, refusing to be in the hospital. And maybe the idea that he remembers his wife being in the hospital was the only reason he agreed to it. And his moment, we don't know. I won't be able to ask him until the end of my life and be able to ask him the many patients that die under my care. He's already admitted, but the family already built a bond with me. And I'm in charge of all emergencies overnight at this ER. Held his hand. Family said let him go. He had a pacemaker. Soon in 30 minutes, I confirmed, despite cardiac monitor, no pulse. when he was with his loved one.